prosperous that it was interesting. So what they did is they studied it and found 30 years later that it was not only accurate, but it was authentic and it was viable. If a small butterfly can create molecules to start a hurricane on the other side of the world, what can we do when we can tap into the wisdom that we find in God's Word and the power that the Holy Spirit gives each and every one of us that calls him Father? That is the message that we like to get. That is our goal as women come into our door, is that we will express to them or get the message across to them how important they are and how valuable they are and how much they matter. And not only do they matter, and that God has a purpose for each and every one of them, but also that life that is living inside of them. You know, I read a statistic the other day that was so mind-boggling to me that pregnancy resource centers across the nation only see 20% of the abortion-minded. And that saddened me. And I feel like the only way that can be changed is that if we continue to have a reputation for being in a safe environment, absent of judgment and manipulation. Well, I want to take you back to the history of Pathways. 20 years ago, there was a woman whose name was Kim Upson, and she believed that God had a call on her life to start a pregnancy clinic. So she got together with another friend of hers and said, listen, I feel God put this on my heart, but would you come in and join with me? Well, Kim Upson couldn't be here tonight, and so I have called Sharon Smith, who was the part of the staff and leadership of the very first pregnancy clinic here in Camas. Sharon, you want to? And she is going to share, along with one of the clients that came in around the time that the clinic started, the success story of one of the clients. Ty Marie, you want to come on up with her?
So fun to come and see some familiar faces and new faces, and just to see all the people that are willing to celebrate with us really the ministry of Pathways. And we started in a little tiny storefront on Cedar Street in 1994, and all of 350 square feet. And so it was a tight squeeze, and we had to keep our clothing ministry, which is huge. From day one, it's huge, in another church. It wasn't this one, but one downtown, I think. So that lasted maybe a little over a year, but in 1995, we moved to where we are now, which was part of the church next door, and a lot more space and huge amount of space for our clothing ministry, which has, always been a huge part of what we do. And it's kind of, many times, what attracts women to us in the first place. So one day, this really young, nervous, I call her a little girl, she was 17, came into the center, and I could just tell that she was really nervous and definitely at a crossroads in her life. It was obvious that she was pregnant. She had this cute little belly and all of that. And we talked and got acquainted, and she had some pertinent questions for me, for us. And right from the very beginning, I can't speak for her, but I just bonded with her. And we are seed planters at the center, and maybe spend 20 minutes, half hour, a little more if the client is, going downstairs for clothes or whatever. But Tim Marie and I talked, and just continue to get acquainted, and my job was to support her decision. And she's going to talk about that, and this is a complete circle. This doesn't happen all the time. That's what makes our relationship so special, I think. But I even got to attend her birth. Ethan, beautiful baby boy, and she was the bravest, one of the bravest, most brave women I've ever met giving birth. And that's another long story. But anyway, so I want to introduce Timmery to you, and she wants to share her story.
Is there any way to use this thing?
You can.
I'm afraid I'll be too shaky. Don't know how to use it. Never used one before. Oh, there we go. Hello? Okay, so I am a bundle, ow, hold on, a bundle of nerves up here. But to be clear, I'm very honored to speak on behalf of the CPC and eternally grateful for their services in the community, which proved to be very worthwhile in my life. So my story is, I'm currently 38. I have a son who's 20 in July, Ethan. And, oh my gosh, we're gonna start crying. I also have 3 other little ones right now that are 6 and twins that are 5. But this story is about Ethan. He's born in 1996, 1 month before my 18th birthday and 2 weeks after I graduated high school. So I was pregnant my senior year. When I learned of the pregnancy, late 1995, I was in my senior year. I wasn't thinking this would ever happen to me. I honestly thought something like this would never happen to me. And the father was 6 years older than me, and I had left the relationship 2 months prior to finding this news out. So I really was not expecting the news that I got. So I literally was in shock. Like, she sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher, like wah, 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 when she told me, "You're pregnant." So I thought she was going to say I had a bladder infection, but that wasn't it. So I was very shocked. But even though I was very shocked, I knew immediately that I was going to keep this baby and that I was going to do the best I could. It was just like an innate knowing, but I was so young and I felt like I needed to seek advice from my family. And I was very torn, and I felt ashamed and confused. So long story short, most of the advice I got was to have an abortion. A few adoption advice came along, but mostly abortion, and most notably from my dad. And it took him a long while to accept the circumstances. Anyways, I had seen the CPC in town before, and I felt an urge to go in and check it out, just because I was confused. And so I'm not sure what I said when I went in there, but I do remember, what I do remember is them saying, "We would love to talk to you, but we don't advocate abortion. That's the only thing, we don't advocate that." So for me, I just felt a sense of relief and safety right then, and I felt supported in my heart's decision, and so I kept coming back. Sorry, I can't talk about Ethan without crying always. First thing that I was given is a notebook of questions to answer that I clearly needed to work through to make my decision. And that helped a lot, and so I finally got the courage to tell my family that I was keeping the baby. And that was a hard part. Then I developed a very supportive mentorship relationship with Sharon, and I felt the same way. And she personally involved herself in my life and attended Ethan's birth. And she also planted a seed in the growth of my Christian faith and arranged and attended my baptism when I was 23. So Sharon had me watch Lamaze videos, which was the only way I knew how to breathe and focus during that labor. In my senior year, I was getting bigger and I didn't have any clothes, so I was able to use the clothing from the donations and eventually items for Ethan that I needed. So I was asked to speak 20 years ago when he was born. When he was 3 months old, I spoke, and now they asked me to speak again, so this is kind of like an update. So to shorten everything, I guess, I raised Ethan as a single mom until he was 9, and then we met his stepfather and married when he was 12. My husband embraced Ethan from the start, and we loved our family, and Ethan loved that we united in marriage. Thank you. And then soon 3 more additions came fairly quick. Ethan was entering high school at that time, and he worked very hard. He was accepted into the magnet program for all 4 years of high school. That was the AP. Only 30 kids from 2 junior highs were chosen to be in it. And he was very studious and just had all AP classes. He stayed up really late doing homework and helped me with the twins as babies. And I didn't have a pic, but, I do have a pic, but I couldn't find it. But I have a picture of him holding one of the twins in a front pack and like doing homework at night while I was nursing the other one. So he graduated, ranked 9th in his senior class, and with honors in the top 10% of Washington State. He's been living in the dorms at University of Washington the last 2 years, and currently he's entering his junior year at UW, and he's hoping to get into computer science major this year, but that's an update to come. Over this last summer, he moved out of his dorm into an apartment and got employed for the first time full-time over the summer. So I'm very proud of him, and I'm also experiencing the empty nest syndrome because he's gone. But he is the kind of kid that every parent would have dreamed of having. He always brought humor and fun to others. He's very joyful and considerate and kind and patient and very wise beyond his years. And can I tell that little story? So when he was 6, I was driving him to basketball or something, and I was ranting and rambling about life's not fair. And then he said, "Yeah, Mom, I know, and only 2 things stay the same." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "God's love for us and that everything changes." And I was just, I was stunned. I thought, did I tell him that, or have I even ever heard that before? I don't think so. So that's summing up what I had to say. But about the CPC, I think the most important thing is that the mental and the spiritual, emotional, and the material support I received made a huge impact on my experience. And it planted seeds for my future and for the future of my unborn son, Ethan. So, thank you.
As you looked at those quotes, I look at those quotes. I see those quotes and I think of stories. And one of the quotes that I saw, and I didn't realize it until after Jessa had put this video together, but it said, "Thank you for the Bibles." I had two young women who met on a bus coming from another state to here. And the one woman, young girl, she was coming here to actually meet a man that her mother thought would, her mother's friend thought would be a good match. This girl had cuts all up and down her arm, and she lived a very reckless life. But she had met this girl on the bus, and they decided between the two of them that they were going to devise a plan to have a baby together. So they came into the clinic. She had met this man, and so she had come into the clinic, and she had done a pregnancy test, and it was negative. And I sat down with that girl, and I talked with her for almost 45 minutes. And I told her what, first of all, she was putting herself in danger. We talked about her lifestyle. And she says, I wish you were my mom. And my heart just broke, and I wanted to take both of them home. The one definitely cared about the other, but, my heart just opened up because I could tell that neither one of them had any kind of stable environment growing up. They had both been abused as children, and they just wanted something to love them. Well, I told them, like I do all of our clients, if they get a negative pregnancy test, come back in a week, and we'll retest just to make sure. And at this time when they came back, I sat down and we talked some more. And our nurse, she is the most loving. There's not one person that she meets that somehow, some way, she does not work the gospel in. And as she went in and she talked with them that day, she was able to lead the one to the Lord and give them both Bibles. They felt loved, and they were able to take their Bibles. And one was going to go to an aunt, get back on the bus, and go back to where she had come with. And she says, I used to go to church with my aunt. And so, when I saw that, thank you for the Bibles, that just, touched my heart. Pathways is a collaborative. Many of you have been involved in Pathways. A couple years ago, we got a grant from the community chest, and Jerry Ingbrick came in and he built walls. Ross Electric put up lights, and there was carpet donated, and Clark students from Clark College came, and with a combined effort, we were able to put together a boutique which houses every Friday morning a support group. And in that support group, this was some woman's vision who believe that everything she does matters, and it was something that God laid on her heart. Now she runs 6 and 7 different schedules, but she was able to make that happen. But I also want to, before I go on to that, I just want to read to you, if you think that your voice doesn't matter, I just want to read some of the news that has come. Now, this is a report that I got, and it's put out by Guttmacher, who is not pro-life. But because we make a voice, and because we stand for life, Congress has barred the use of federal Medicaid funds to pay for abortions, except when the woman's life would be endangered or in cases of rape and incest. States can fund abortions with state dollars, and about 1/3 of the states do so voluntary by court order. As of April 2016, at least half the states have imposed excessive and unnecessary regulations on abortion clinics, mandated counseling designed to dissuade a woman from obtaining an abortion, required a waiting period before an abortion, required parental involvement. I mean, that's a victory right there. before a minor obtains an abortion or prohibited the use of state Medicaid funds to pay for medically necessary abortions. Now, this is written by someone that is not pro-life. In 2000, a total of 13 states had at least 4 types of major abortion restrictions, and so were considered hostile to abortion rights. By 2015, this category included 27 states. The proportion of women of reproductive age living in hostile states rose from 31% to 56% during this time period. In contrast, the number of states that were supportive of abortion rights fell from 17 to 12 between 2000 and 2015. The proportion of women of reproductive age living in supportive states declined from 40 to 30 over a period. Our voice does matter. If Pam Soja would come forward, she is our new BAM leader. She's the one that runs the support group on Friday mornings, and like I said, we have anywhere from 8 to 12. And we've had the support group going for about two years, and so now these women that we have came to us, they were pregnant, and then now their babies are around 1.5 years old. So I'm going to turn over Pam.
Thank you. What an honor to be here. I have a thank you from the Moms Group to all of you who have made it possible for them to have that group at the clinic. We are the Moms Group. We meet every Friday at Pathways in the boutique with our children. As a group, we want to thank you for the support of Pathways and share how that support blessed us and our babies. Our Moms Group is able to meet every week, encourage each other, share advice as well as our own experiences. We have made new friends, have beautiful discussions on a very personal level, formed connections that have gone beyond the clinic. The donations have helped us financially with clothing, diapers, toys, and much more. We are able to share our babies learning to crawl, first steps, the new teeth. We have enjoyed watching the babies form friendships with each other, much laughter and a few tears. Pathway is a blessing, and we are grateful. Thank you very much for your support, the Mommy Group. They are a beautiful group of women, and as I think about that butterfly effect and how everything that they do matters, and it just goes on and on and on with these they matter, their babies matter, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. And the woman that Carrie was talking about that started this is Debbie Connors. And she had this vision of this moms group. And so there is the butterfly wings of Debbie, and then it spread out to the moms in the moms group. And so it just will go on and on and on. So I want to introduce Debbie, and one of the beautiful moms, Jody, you want to come on up? And her gorgeous little guy, Eli. And she was real hard shoes to fill.
You're awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. The Mommy Group was a vision that the Lord had laid on my heart. You see the stories of the beginnings of how we make contact with the families. And I wanted you to see a full circle with Jody and Eli and see what the Moms Group has done for these young women that come in there, and the connection and support and relationship that takes place on a weekly basis. It is truly an amazing thing to watch unfold. One of the things I wanted to share with all of you was that when we originally started the mommy group, there was just 1 or 2 moms that would come on a weekly basis, and then it grew from there. But we thought it would be about an hour and a half time that the moms could get together and discuss, kind of build their parenting skills and connection with other moms in the community. And it grew from an hour and a half to about 2.5 hours, which was wonderful because the women were coming in and we'd have breakfast for them and they would get to share and we'd have our discussion group and then they would stay afterwards and they would do their shopping in the boutique, it's an amazing resource for these women to come in and be able to get the diapers and the food and clothes for their babies. So it became this long afternoon, morning of time and connection. So it's been a real ministry. And I wanted you to see how it can unfold from those beginning stories into the stories where we're reaching the families and their children in a much deeper way. So it's awesome. Jody, thanks for coming and talking.
And then the crazy one.
So, Jody, I have so loved getting to know you. You're an awesome individual.
Thank you.
The 2 words that come to my mind when I think of you, Jody, are courage and commitment. I think of all the obstacles that you've overcome in the year, a little over a year that I've gotten to know you. And I would just love if you would share how you walked in the doors of Pathway. How did that all unfold for you?
Okay, so first I will have to say Julie Brown over here, who is one of the volunteer nurses, she is a family friend of mine, and she's the one that told me to go in there. So I went in and I actually got an ultrasound, which I think it showed up there, which was my second ultrasound, but first one at Pathways. And I think I was like 13 weeks. And then I'm kind of gone through a lot of struggles in my life, and so I've kind of kept to myself, and so I was really scared to go to the moms group, even though I was told about it. So I think he was about 2 or 3 months old, and I came in and I was so nervous. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And I just sat there and everybody welcomed me with open arms. And I have made so many friendships, and it's just been the best experience, not just for me, but for my son. He's gotten to grow up with lots of children. And, I have 2 of my actually closest friends here, Lisa and Samson, and Sarah and her son Finnegan. So it's just wonderful. They're coming. So that's just been wonderful.
So I have one memory that I wanted to share. So she had mentioned that when she first came into the mommy group, it was really hard for her to open up. And I remember it must have been about, maybe 4 to 6 months after she'd been coming on a regular basis. And I noticed this real shift with Jody. And all of a sudden she was opening up and actually sharing her wisdom that she had learned as a parent and some of her skills that she had learned with the new moms that were coming in. And I think that's tremendous. That is a tremendous thing right there for somebody to gain courage and confidence and a willingness to reach back and help other people, new moms that are coming in. And that is one of the things that we do in the Mommy Group Friday, and that is awesome.
It's honestly, it's helped, I wouldn't say, it's helped open me up, and it's also made me believe again. Like, there was a long time I didn't think I'd ever have any friends. And now I have such amazing people, and they help me with my son, and they help me with myself. Including you.
Oh, awesome.
You've been
Lisa, Samson, Sarah, and Finnegan, and Jody here, and
Elijah.
Eli. Yes. And I just want you to all know that you are an integral part of all of this that is happening here at Pathways. Without your prayers, your support, encouragement, financial support, none of this would be possible. And I just really want to thank you, too, on behalf of all of us here, for being a part of this ministry, which is obviously touching so many lives. Yeah.
It really has.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you guys want to say anything? You're like, I don't want to say anything.
This is a surprise.
On behalf of all of us, I know I spoke last year, but we really do appreciate you coming out tonight, supporting Pathways, supporting your community, and spreading the word, because
some of us come from a ways away. I came out, the first time I came out from Battleground because somebody told me about the clinic. And it has been one of the best things that I went through with having my son was having this support group and these friends.
Thank you.
I want to thank Debbie because she's been a big help in me raising my son. He's my 4th pregnancy, first kid. We had ultrasounds at Pathaways with him and the one before, and Debbie was with. I was there both times with Debbie, and it's been a huge help that they're even open and there to help everybody.
Yeah, love you, Lisa. This ministry right here. Thank you.